All right, so we're recording. It's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Al is otherwise occupied tonight, so I'm back. Okay, any additions or corrections to the agenda, folks? Okay, nothing. Quickly running through the norms. We're going to maintain our focus, communicate respectfully, be present, try and keep this productive and effective, and respect the agenda. Next, members of the public, if you're here for something that's on the agenda, it's best if you wait until that part of the meeting. But if there's something that you're here for that's not actually on the agenda, now is your moment.
What is there a, can you give us a quick rundown of what the agenda is real fast?
Sure.
I'll share the packet.
Okay.
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, if you go to chat, there'll be a link to the packet, but essentially there's update on the HVAC work. Then we're going to discuss the our pilot program at Leland and Gray, get reports from the students, principals, and superintendent, and also the communications subcommittee. And then there are a couple of policies, instructional, disposition, and Title IX, prevention of sexual harassment, on the agenda for discussion and possible action. And again, in the chat, there is a link to the document, to the agenda. Hey, Emily, you made it.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so back to if what you're here for is not on the agenda, now is your time. Otherwise, you know, raise your hand or let me know when we're to that piece of the meeting. I don't see any hands. Okay. Do we have any correspondence?
I sent the board an email that I received permission to be able to share with the board. I thought it just might be nice if Bob just kind of shared out just real quickly. I think it's important to hear.
Yeah.
If Bob's comfortable doing that.
I don't have it right in front of me right now.
I do. You want me to read it?
Sure.
Sure, if you have it.
No, I did have it. I was excited to have it.
I have it in front of me.
Okay. Go for it, Joe.
So it's a email from a Leland and Gray parent. I guess we can give her name, right?
Yeah.
Stephanie Amniot. And she writes to Bob just to say that she thought she would let him know that the first real week of school was a resounding success from her perspective, and that she had spoken with another parent with multiple Leland and Gray students who felt the same way. There was enough work to be challenging, but so far not overwhelming. Classes and structure were good, and starting the day with advisory is very helpful, and she encouraged continuing that. She also mentioned that having students' cameras on helps with connection and accountability. The teachers are very accessible and assignments are organized and clear. She says, great work to all, thought you should know. So a little positive feedback for us.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any other correspondence? Okay. We should have had the minutes from the August 17th and the August 24th meeting. Had a chance to review those. We just need a motion to approve them.
Dana has his hand raised, Joe.
Oh, see, not being host. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, Dana.
Yeah, Ken made the motion and I'll second it.
All righty. Any discussion on those minutes? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes of August 17th and August 24th, 2020, please say aye. Oh, actually, what are we? Thumbs up?
Yeah, we can do that.
Sorry.
I'm not sure.
Only if it's unanimous. If it's not unanimous, you gotta do it. Now see, Lindsay is doing the appropriate thumbs up.
Lindsay's got the thumbs up I love.
Joe, Bill, there's more icons. You can do a thumbs down.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
But I only want to see thumbs up. I
Okay.
think I got it. Howie, I can't tell because you frozen.
Emily, Lindsay,
Excellent.
Keegan,
Trish,
Howie.
thumbs up? All right, perfect. The motion passes. Thank you all. All right. We have an update on where we are with the HVAC. I know, thank you, Bill, for sending what you had. So far, so good. We got any more, and you want to walk us through what you have?
Yeah, let me share my screen to the 2-pager I sent you all so that everybody can see it.
Okay, sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Sweet. So this is what was sent to the board midweek last Wednesday. And basically we're going through the 3 stages. And if you guys remember, the 3 stages were that we were going to make sure that we did the servicing of all the units. And then we're going to do the air ventilation testing. And then we are going to do the fixing after the air ventilation testing. And then we are going to do air ventilation testing again so that we could have all those measurements. So we're going to do servicing, measurement, fixing, and then measurement. So we have completed the servicing and we have completed the measuring. And we have on page 2 the full measure of Townsend. And probably by Wednesday, I'll have the full measure of Jamaica and of Newbrook. Leland and Gray is still in process. But let me walk you guys through this so that it took me a while to understand it, and it has a lot of numbers. Additionally, Mr. Medina has contracted with CX Associates, and they are working on the isolation rooms in every room. So we have Alliance Mechanical that is working on the HVAC, and then we have CX Associates engineers that are working on the particular isolation. And all that work is in progress. Again, I will say that thank you to Mr. Medina for being so fast to the ball on this, because with the amount of money that, thank you, Emily Long, that is being given to the HVAC process, every single school in the entire state is looking to do the work that you all are doing. But by being involved in July, we're getting the work done now rather than being put on the schedule. So again, in the summary there, you'll see that phase 1 and phase 2 have been completed for Jamaica, Newbrook, and Townsend. So that is the PM, the servicing work, and then the air ventilation measurements. And then on page 2, I'm going to show you what the air ventilation measurements look like for a school, which is Townsend. Chris and I are meeting probably weekly, if not every 3 or 4 days with the engineers. They give us regular updates, and we also meet with Efficiency Vermont. And so it was important for us to understand what targets we're looking for and how we're trying to accomplish the goal that the board set out to make sure that we are meeting standards. So under the Efficiency Vermont viewpoint on the ASHRAE standards, and I'll go over this in detail on page 2, it's important to remember that what we're shooting for is not the new design of a building ASHRAE standards, but the manufacturer's recommendation on our current system. And really what we're shooting for is making sure that we're getting fresh air, because what we want is we want the air moving around so that it creates the safest mitigation environment for our staff, our community, and our students. So if you look under Townsend, so you're going to get one of these for Townsend, Jamaica, and Newbrook. But the Townsend one came in first, and I expect to have the other 2 hopefully by Wednesday. So in the Townsend airflow, they met 7 of the 21 rooms meet or exceed with us just doing the servicing and just doing the measuring. So we really haven't even done any of the repair work or the replacement work. It is simply just doing the regular servicing. Go ahead, Ken. I get an alert when you raise your hand, so go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, Bill, just wanted to make sure that we check and make sure. Okay, that's why you were so quick. I was like, wow, right on it. I just wanted to remind you that the HVAC system is only like 5 years old at Newbrook. So a lot of those parts hopefully are under warranty.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
Did you get that?
I did. Awesome. All right, so as you see in the Townsend airflow, you got 7 out of 21 by doing the maintenance, the preventative maintenance. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
And down.
And down, good. Okay. So the next steps for Townsend are what comes from the Alliance Mechanical. So they're going to do a deep clean on the heat exchanger coils on each HRU. Don't know what an HRU is?
It won't come down.
It's okay. Oh, you want me to put your own thing down, Ken? I can do it. I think I got you. If not, don't worry about it. I won't call him. So basically, Townsend is a good example of after they do the preventative maintenance and they do the measurement, then they're going in to do the work. And so that's what's happening right now. And I believe I sent the board just a reminder of the 3 phases and how we're in that September-October period where that work is being done. Now here is where it gets really interesting, and it took me a while to understand this. So let me walk you guys through this, because you're gonna get a report like this for every single building. So the key is the 3 columns. The first column, which is periwinkle, says actual CFM. So that is the measurement of, go to my notes. That is the actual measurement of the fresh air ventilation that is coming into that particular room for an average occupant number that is to the left. So for example, in the resource room, in most every classroom, we estimated at 15. Whereas in certain rooms, you could estimate at 5 if it's like a kitchen where you're not going to have 15 kids. So the periwinkle column is the actual measurement. So they did the preventative maintenance, then they went and they measured. Okay, that's periwinkle. The middle column, which I'm going to call a peach, maybe a light peach, that is that's the barrier we want to get over. Okay, that is the minimum outdoor air rate that is necessary from Energy Vermont, from ASHRAE, that shows that we've got enough air that is being circulated in that room with those number of occupants. So you can see in the kitchen, it's 127 actual and it's 105 that we're trying to get over the barrier. So that's there, but it's only got 5 people in the kitchen. If we put 15 people in the kitchen, it would change because each occupant changes the algorithm. Over to the right is the blue, or I don't know, bluebird blue, baby blue. And that is, if we were going to build a new building, that is the standard you would get to. So you would build to that specification when you're building a new building. We are not building a new building, and we are not replacing an entire system unless the board wants to do that. What we are trying to do is have fresh air ventilation to mitigate, to create a safe environment for our staff, our community, and our students. So again, periwinkle is actual. Peach is the minimum bar to get over, and blue is if we were designing a new building. Now, if I go back to the statement from Efficiency Vermont, you can see that it's clear that based on our Vermont buildings, achieving the blue is probably not going to be practical or feasible, but we got to get over the peach. The peach is what we got to get over. And of course, we want to get way over the peach, and we want to get as close as we can to the design, but we got to get over the peach. So these are the 21 rooms they measured. 7 of them are over. We need to get 21 of them over. And so they are doing their strategies, as you see here under next steps. And then after they do those strategies, then we will measure again. And then we will see out of those 21 rooms where we stand. And so we're going to do that in every building. And again, hopefully I'll have Newbrook and I will have Jamaica by midweek, next week. And again, I'll send it out to the board and then I'll present it at a meeting. All right. Are there any questions? And Ken, you did a great job role modeling for everybody about how to raise your hand. Are there any questions from the board about this HVAC update? Dana West.
Bill, did they tell you anything about how much it would take to get to over those peach levels? I
So they
mean,
know exactly where we want to go. And
Okay.
so their strategies are based on us getting there as fast as possible. So they're not throwing the kitchen sink at it. They're being very targeted about this would be the best strategy we suggest as Alliance Mechanical to improve that air ventilation.
okay, I was just wondering, you know, money being an option, are we going to be more direct and not just blow money and think it's here or think it's there?
We're not doing a shotgun. It is,
Okay,
look, you guys know where we need to get. You did all the preventative maintenance. You've seen everything. What's the best strategy for us to get there?
okay, here we go.
No, it's great. I appreciate the question. I'm going to pause. I'm trying to learn from Keegan. Take an appropriate, teachable moment. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. All that information is in the board packet. It's all posted on the website. All the board members have it. It is in the chat right now. Everything is in order of the agenda. So all that information is there for people to see. And again, I hope by Wednesday, in 2 days, I'll be able to do this for Newbrook and Jamaica. But if it happens Thursday, I'll share it with the board as well. And just as a reminder, as I stop sharing, our conversation in August was if we can get a building up and running, we are going to then immediately prepare for having in-person instruction. So just to give you guys boards a heads up, and I'll keep you informed, but imagine that Jamaica comes back on Wednesday and it's looking fantastic. You know, they've done the preventative maintenance, we've done the measurement, and we've hopped over the peach and we're good to go. You know, we're gonna spend probably 2 days getting prepared to bring kids back, and then we're gonna try to get them back. We gotta, you know, coordinate with the bus, we gotta get all that stuff together, but just wanna remind the board that when we have a building ready, we're gonna go for it. Dana West.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Bill, for sending out the informational pamphlets on when we do go back to school, that, you know, if something arises. We've noticed up north, some kids have tested positive and then they've had to do a 1 or 2 day shutdown, do some testing, some contact tracing. I was glad that you send out forms or some flyers or whatever you call it to give us an idea of what, when we do go back, what that might look like. So thank you.
Well, I'm going to give, you know, kudos to the principal at Jamaica. The principals are taking the lead on making sure that people are informed about that. And that would be a Pam Bernardo kudos. Emily Long.
Hey there. So I was, I had a question about when we ever do get back and buses start running and we pick up kids. I had a question from someone who asked me about bus monitors. whether we have monitors on the bus to help make sure that students are wearing masks and social distancing or whatever the requirements are, and whether that was going to be covered on all routes, both to and from school.
So that is our plan. It is very difficult to hire bus monitors, but we are working very hard to make sure that that is the situation, that I don't have to get in where I don't have bus monitors, because we need to have bus monitors to make sure that the bus transportation people are focused on driving the bus and feel safe, and that we can make sure that we are checking everybody before they get on the bus. It is a great gig. I will put it out to everybody. It is from 6:10 in the morning, or 6:30 is the late one, and you'll be done by 8:30, and it is $20 an hour, and you have to get a background check, and you get to wear a mask and a face shield and gloves, and it is an opportunity to serve your community on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And if you contact the WCSU office, we will help you become a bus monitor today. So please send them your way. I recruited the Gloria, my good friend Gloria, and she was working for the census. And so I recruited her that, hey, the census thing's gonna be over in 2 weeks. You want a gig? I may have something up and running in October. So seriously though, we have 7 bus routes. We currently only have 2 bus monitors. The challenge is they don't know when they're going to begin. So I want to get them in. I want to get them ready. I want to get them trained so that when we can load these buses, we've got people on route. We're looking at some other creative solutions, but please encourage anybody you know. Keep going, Emma.
So I was just going to follow up and by saying that, what if we don't have bus monitors? Will we be running bus routes without bus monitors, or are we requiring bus monitors? That's just
our agreement with our transportation company is that we have to have bus monitors.
For both to and from school?
Just the morning.
So what's the difference between morning and afternoon?
That's when they come to school. That's when we do our health check. Just like when they come to school, we do the health check when they walk into school. We don't do a health check before they leave school.
So I'm going to keep asking, if Joe, if you don't mind me continuing.
No.
So there are requirements. Explain to me about the requirements for, like, is there social distancing? Is there mask requirements? What are the requirements for bus?
So bus is stage 3 or
Yep.
step 3, depending on your language. There is nothing. You could have 72 kids on a 72 passenger bus in step 3. You have to wear a mask. You have the windows open. But in our communications with families, we have about 30% of families that were interested in using the bus, knowing that we would follow the check as you come on. You need to wear a mask, but that because it's step 3 does allow for fully packed buses, even though we're expecting about 30% to be on. If 30% is realistic, then yes, Emily, what we will be doing is socially distancing. You load the first kids in the very back of the bus, you skip 2 seats, you put them on opposite sides. But because buses under the guidance open in step 3, technically they could be a 72 persons on 72 passenger bus.
So then it's up to the bus driver to make sure that kids are following whatever rules are on there. There's no support for the bus driver during the afternoon route, only during the morning route, because that's when they're checked.
That is correct.
Okay.
Is it possible that older students could apply?
You got to be 18 and you got to be fingerprinted.
Okay, so you'd have to be a senior, and even then a small portion of the senior class.
Yes, we've been contacting all the recent graduates, a lot of kids that are doing a fully remote semester, kids that might be working a shift that is not in the morning, but we haven't had any commitments as of yet. Keegan.
Well, 6:10 in the morning is awfully early for those kids.
Keegan.
Thank you. My school is currently open up in Windsor, and they've had a few paras that have to be in school to work anyway. Has that conversation come up with your support staff around, you get a free ride into work and we can
Yeah.
offer you a free lift home? Is that part of the
Yeah.
conversation?
Particularly with our special education paras. Stephanie Beatty Hancock, our director, I told her that I needed her the first 2 weeks to make sure everything was rolling appropriately with special education. And so she sent out on Wednesday of last week a job description of how it can work and how we can be flexible about, getting to work at 8:30 rather than possibly 8 o'clock. Yes, that is absolutely a group that hopefully would be interested in doing it.
Thank you.
That's all I got for you, Joseph.
Well, thank you. Very informative. We'll keep them rolling. Okay, so the next item on the agenda was the pilot program at Leland and Gray for special education. Do you want to speak to that, Bob or Bill? Bob? Bill?
I'm gonna let Bob. Let me introduce Bob and then I'll let him speak. I think this is a really good example of the creative process that Bob, the director of special education, and really the energy of one of the teachers at Leland and Gray to be very creative. If you guys remember on our meeting in August, you encouraged us to look for some creative solutions. Bob took that and started running with it. So go ahead, Bob.
I'm taking zero credit for this, but Bill Gallagher, our special educator who runs the home program, came to Stephanie, Bill, and I and presented this idea where he would, the program itself, the home program, home is an acronym for hands-on, minds engaged. And so obviously hands-on is a significant part of what they do with service learning, with building, with adventure programming, all sorts of cool stuff. And I've been doing it at Leland and Gray for many, many years, using the Somerset property and everything else. So he basically was seeking permission to try a pilot program where he could get transportation for his program for his kids. And I think there's probably 6 or 7 kids that we're talking about. Tent rental set up back. And the kids come in the morning. They have 2 academic classes, the first 2 blocks of the day. And his para support staff helps them and supervises them while they're logging in, because the teachers for those classes aren't necessarily there, and then helps them go through that academic work. And then the second half of the day after lunch, they engage with the actual home program. And so today was day 1 of that. It was really cool to see a bus pull up out front and have kids get off of it. And so we're going to be, I told them I wouldn't come down and spy on them today. I want to give them a day or 2 to settle in, but I'm going to come down and check it out, get some pictures, and get some stuff to you guys if you'd like. But we're really hopeful that this is a cool way to get some kids, on campus, not in the building, but on campus, and to be able to hand materials up through the window of the shop in the back of the building to those guys, and they can do some work outdoors using the tent, using the kayak shed, and continuing the work that they've been doing on Numiak and some other projects that they're working on. So super excited about having those guys do it. And it's a great program that Bill has, and I look forward to hearing how it goes.
Well, congratulations. That's a terrific accomplishment. Every one of those baby steps back to the way things, the way people want things to be, the way we all want things to be is just really, congratulations. Thank you.
I'll pass it on to Bill, because like I said, all I did was just pass the papers through. I didn't really do anything except encourage him to do it, but he didn't need any encouragement from me. He was all over it.
Yeah, that's not me, Bill. That's Bill Gallagher.
All the bills. All right. Well, thanks for that. I guess the next item it would be the student reports, but I don't think we have.
No, I have it.
Yay!
So,
All right.
Abby Hazelton has provided a student report, which I'll read in a second, but I would like to take this opportunity to echo an announcement that was made on the Leland and Gray Facebook page that Abby Hazelton is the 2020 or 2020, 2021 Green and Gold Scholar for Leland and Gray. So we are very fortunate to have Abby giving us feedback about her experience, and she's obviously worked extremely hard to make this achievement. So congratulations, Abby. Really, really. So let me just read what Abby has sent. Here we go. Our internet is really horrible tonight. I won't be able to speak for the student reports, but I really wanted to share my thoughts. I wanted to say that although the most ideal situation would be in-person learning, and I really wish that we could all be in school, I have noticed that this school year so far has been working better than this past spring, and the learning is more structured and organized. The only problem I've noticed is how long the students are spending in front of a computer during the day. Talked to many parents and students in the elementary and high school. They've all expressed concerns about this screen time. I also hope that games and theater practices can start soon. Thank you very much, Abby Hazelton. And I did hear from Abby's mom today that Abby was at practice for cross country. So she is very excited to have step 3 happen for sports so that those competitions can begin.
More good news. Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Abby. Congratulations as well. I don't see any other hands. Principal reports. Any volunteers? Trying to find principals. First one I find.
I'll go first.
Oh, thanks, Scotty.
Sure. I guess I wanted to start just by saying how really pleased I am with the way we implemented this year. My staff has been very creative, and they've been really working hard to try to engage the kids. We've stepped up our expectations, and a lot of it is screen time, and it's been kind of a what has it been? It's been kind of a negotiation. Trying to achieve the goals that we're setting out to achieve. We met today, my staff, and we don't have any. Like last spring, we had some families that weren't engaging, and I didn't hear a lot of that today. I think that the families are that we're working with last spring, we were all kind of in a state of shock. I think now that they're starting to understand really the way it works, and I think my staff is communicating clearly about that as well. We're the one thing I would say about at Newbrook is that we've lost some students. And I don't know if you noticed at the end of my report, but we're down to 83 kids, and that's really significant when compared to where it was prior to the merge, prior to COVID. So that's something that's kind of getting under my skin a little bit. The opening itself was really fun. Parents came on Tuesday morning, and a lot of them had their kids in the car, and the teachers were all out front, and we were handing out materials, and we were saying hello, and a lot of the teachers had scheduled meetings. We with parents and families. Our kindergartners started in groups of 4, and we put them in the lean-to down at the end of the block, and it was really a fun thing. I went down to observe one of the cohorts, and what we're trying to do is trying to get the parents to pod up a little bit, so then the kids can have some friends and see some people outside of school. Again, I want to thank my staff. I want to thank the specialists who created Wednesday's Rock, which really balances out the week and allows the parents to have that structure during the week, during the Wednesday when the kids aren't at school. And my staff and my students and my families all want us to be back in the building. So I'm just looking forward to the work that Mr. Medina has done, and thank goodness he's here to help us. I guess that's what I have for you.
Thank you. Oh, I see a question. Leanne has one for you.
It's not so much as a question. I just wanted to give a shout out to Scotty. I heard from a parent that was having some technical difficulties, how far above and beyond he went to try and get a student into a Zoom meeting. He went as far, I believe, as offering to drive to the person's house to get them connected. And I believe that deserves a big shout out. So thank you, Scotty.
Thank you, Leanne.
Hands everywhere. Lindsay and then Dana.
Hi, Scotty. I just was wondering if you could speak for a minute about how much of the loss of kids at Newbrook is sort of the normal shifting of tides that happens every year, and how much of it isn't that, and what do you know?
Well, what I do know, and I actually created a Post-it note on my desk with all this information because I really want to chase it down. But there were 2 families with 3 kids each that moved away. That's a big hit when you're talking about 100 students. We had one family that went private when we told them that we were going to be remote. Her son loves us very much, and she loves us. She was like, "We'll be back next year." You know, and you know, all of these family decisions, I completely understand. We also had, we have, I think 5 or 6 children whose parents have opted to homeschool. And again, I mean, I've never homeschooled a student, but the difference between homeschooling and our school-supported home study is stark. It's different. And so I think that there are some people that are choosing homeschool because perhaps they want to have absolute control over their schedules during this time, or they might want to even take an extended travel, you know, and study from wherever they are. So those are the kinds of stories I'm hearing, Lindsay. I haven't come across anyone who was upset with what we were doing, to me. However, I really am interested in chasing these kinds of things down because it is worrisome. When I took this job, we had 133 students at my school. So, I mean, I know that it's different now. We've balanced things out, but that is for me very significant. And I will also say that's been a big portion of where I put my effort is to try to fill my building. So it looks like I'm failing right now. Hopefully, it's all COVID related.
Thanks. Dana, you were next.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Scotty, don't beat yourself up. It is COVID related. Plus, it's Comcast related too. I mean, Comcast and Southern Vermont picked a fine time to, you know, switch over. Unfortunately, in our household, we're going to be out a week without internet. So when they do the switch over in Jamaica. So we'll definitely be doing something that week. So don't beat yourself up. It's COVID related. Everybody will come back once we all come get through this. So
thank you, Dana. And I will say that I agree with you totally that Comcast picked a whopper of a month to be focused on the West River Valley. On the other hand, my own personal house got switched over last month, and boy, what a step up. So just we've got to be patient, but and find those hot spots when you got to Zoom.
Yeah, probably no matter when they switched, it'd never be really convenient. Thank you, Scotty. Pam.
Well, good evening, everybody. You have the principal's report that I submitted. We were thrilled with our first 6 days of opening. We had 87% attendance and have contacted and reached out to all the families that we haven't seen. We had a great first day, first meeting once a week on Mondays now. We all meet together, virtually of course, and have our Monday morning whole school meeting. I get to see all of the kids. We have our routine, and lots of staff, itinerant staff, join us as well. We have had, as I said, our whole school meeting. Our attendance was pretty much as expected. We have 3 new students at Jamaica, but since lost 3 students to home study. So we sort of balanced out there. Still very, very small class sizes. We have been able to think outside the proverbial box for some of our more needy kids. We've actually had parents bring kids in one-on-one. We've met with them outside. We've been able to do some progress monitoring and testing at the beginning of the year. And that's so important for us to get those baseline scores. We have a full staff meeting tomorrow morning where I do want to check in on some things. All the teachers are using Google Classroom. We've created a document that is shared internally so that any staff can sit in on any class. They have the reoccurring links, so I can literally check in with every class multiple times throughout the day. That same thing, I'm pleased to say, and I'm sure Bob or Johanna will share it, is in place at Leland and Gray as well. So at any time, administrators or support staff or whoever needs to can check in on a class live real time. I'm also part of the Google Classrooms that the teachers have created, so I can post on Google Classrooms as well. And I can also check on student progress on their assignments. And so we've been able to do that pretty seamlessly. Some professional development has been happening. You can see that in the report, and we have that ongoing. I will actually be providing professional development for all of the Wyndham Central special education paras this week and next week. So we have some short little technology related sessions for them to sign up for. So we are trying to meet things before they happen and be proactive. Doesn't always happen that way, but we're at least trying to do that. And I do think I have to give a shout out to Dr. McCusick. The work that she and her team did in the summer on the curriculum portion of the website with the scope and sequence, particularly with English language arts and math, has really been able to help focus the teachers. It's divided up and curriculum mapped out by months, and so it really helps with teacher planning. I think that's probably all. The only other thing that you'll really notice if you ever have the opportunity to come to Jamaica is that it has been reconfigured. There's a new entrance and a new main office. And that was not only in response to the COVID things that are necessary, but actually help with the running and the efficiency of the building. So if we ever get back on site, you'll be able to see that there's a brand new main office and a brand new entrance. So I think that's what I have. Oh, just a reminder publicly that the Principals Advisory Council will be up and running for the first meeting this year, and that's on Thursday. And that went out to all parents, and that'll be posted on social media. That's what I have.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that? Follow up? Okay, great. I apologize, I'm scrolling through here. I don't think Craig is with us. Oh, there you are, Craig. Your turn.
All right, thanks. I just didn't know if we wanted to follow up with the high school and middle school at Leland and Gray. Yeah, hey, I'm really excited to be back into school, to think about the academics that we're doing. My teachers are feeling the same way. If you were to walk down our hallways during the school day, you wouldn't know that there was any children missing, because there is active engagement, loud voices, singing, clapping, rhyming, coming throughout the hallways as teachers are interacting with their students via Zoom. And it's fantastic. You know, the energy that is there, the education is there, and we're really trying to make the best out of a not preferred situation, albeit at a distance and safe. So we're really focused on that. We are spending the month of September doing assessments with our synchronous and homeschool supported learners. So that way, every time that we have an interaction with a student and every time we develop a lesson for our class, it's really important. It's data driven. It is responsive to the learning. Because we do hear, as Scotty was saying, that people are worried about the amount of Zoom time, and we are just trying to cut down to make it as important as possible in what they're trying to learn. So this month is assessments, and then in October we'll be doing a data review to give more supports and differentiate even more. So that's kind of the academic side of it. I met with my PAC today, my Principal Advisory Council, and I also met with my staff last week and also today. And the month of October is going to be very busy for the community of Townsend and the students of Townsend Elementary School. We are setting up a week-long open house week. You know, we're missing the opportunity to come back into school to visit with teachers and to get together as a community. So we've created a week-long celebration for us to get together, and that's anywhere from a bike ride that I'm leading to hikes to virtual trivia to books and swag. We're missing them. Students are missing each other. Families are missing each other. So we just want to provide those opportunities to provide, as you said, just a little step closer to normal and typical. So that's where we're at, and I am very excited to be back with kids and with teachers to talk about education.
Thanks, Greg. That sounds like a fun week. Any questions or comments for Craig? Dana.
Yeah, I just want to say, Craig, you know, I'm hearing that the kids are getting, a lot of Zoom time, but they're taking ample breaks, aren't they? And they're not, you know, they're doing some PE out with their computers out in their lawns and stuff. So they are getting not total Zoom time. They're doing other things, right?
Yeah, Dana, thanks for knowing that information. You know, when I'm immersed in this and my teachers are immersed in this, I tend to look over those little details that we built in. And yeah, so our day is an 8 to 2:30 time. And, you know, we have blocks of academics and we have blocks of specials and we have blocks of free time. And so, you know, for an hour-long math block, our students are getting 15, 20 minutes of math instruction from the teacher. And they get to go and go about their ways. So, you know, they have 40 minutes to complete an assignment or 40 minutes to jump back on and connect with their teachers if they need any help. They can also choose later on to do the math, but they're still getting the direct instruction. And, you know, we're scheduling breaks, we're scheduling times, and we'll say, hey, you know, our math is at 9, we'll see you later for your ELA at 11. So you have a 2-hour break. You know, your responsibility now is to try your best and show me what you know. And if you need to contact me as the teacher, you know, we'll be here to help you. So they're getting plenty of breaks, and the afternoons are generally pretty light. And I have to thank the specialists, Suzanne Paw, our art teacher, and Carla West, our PE teacher, who are coming in and doing live lessons just as classroom teachers are. 10, 15 minutes of instructions, hear what we're going to be doing today. And kids get to explore art, they get to explore PE, they get to explore music. But we're keeping them on schedule. And yeah, plenty of breaks and plenty of break times to step away, because we all need breaks. Teachers need breaks, we need breaks. So thanks, Dan, for bringing that up.
Well, you're all doing an excellent job. I mean, I see it with my daughter's schooling, and you know, you're minding them to task, but you're also helping them get through this, and you're making them better people than we are. So thank you to everybody.
Thanks for that. Okay, anything else? All right, last but certainly not least, Bob.
Hey, thanks. So like these guys, we had some nights and days to pick up materials and meet with particularly our middle school students, a lot of new staff there too. So it was great opportunity to mix with them, have some parents out in the parking lot and do some talking to them about expectations. I think you guys have hit on something really important here, is that there is a lot of screen time for kids, and that's certainly an area of concern. But even in our world, like at the high school where we would typically have 80-minute classes, we are only having 45-minute classes now. And and we don't require the teacher necessarily be on Zoom that entire time. So it could be, 20 or 30 minutes of new material instruction with some structured work, either kids in breakout rooms or doing independent work. And then the teacher would be available to kind of check in and answer questions as they went. So there's lots of different models to this, but even those classes, 45-minute classes, have a 15-minute break in between. The next class begins, and we have a daily advisory, which is focusing on community building and helping kids understand organizational skills, executive functioning skills, teaching them how to use Google Suites a little bit more effectively so they can manage their own worlds during this time. So we are seeing a lot more engagement than we did in the spring, and yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. And we do, there's still a list of kids and families that aren't engaging, and we're working our way through that list each week. And last week a bunch of us did a bunch of home visits to drop off materials, check in on some families we hadn't heard back from, make sure kids are okay, put eyes on them, do those kinds of things to do reach out. So you might see me out on the road during the week visiting some of our families. Well, a couple of quick things so the internet, you were talking about the breakups in service because of the changeover to Xfitting. That's something that we are aware of. We do have some teachers who have had some at their own homes, some very quick and smooth transitions like Scotty talked about, but we've also had some that have been, a week or 10 days or planned to be a week or 10 days, depending on the scenario. Everybody's got a different situation. So we do know that some families will be out. We're going to work with them the best we can. One of those things is to provide lists of area hotspots, and there's a map, the state of Vermont, that has area hotspots for Wi-Fi identified, not hotspots for COVID, hotspots for Wi-Fi. So we've shared that out so people can know where to go, the local libraries and town halls and schools and things like that. We've asked and got permission from Chris Medina to have the Dutton Gym be the first area that we work on and complete at the high school, with the hope that might be, if that's sort of deemed okay, prior to the rest of the building, we can begin to bring some kids in there for families that don't have access as well, and have our own indoor hotspot. So that's one of our hopes. On a similar note, we have been working with Bob Stomsky, who is the fire chief at the Jamaica Fire Department, and Bob has volunteered the community room at the fire station there for us to use in small situations. And so we have, for example, our AP Calculus class, which is 3 kids. AP Calculus and all the AP classes, for that matter, have very structured curriculum. We can't, with a lot of our courses, we can make adjustments and try to figure out what we want to focus on. And pick our standards based on that. But with the AP courses, it's a little bit different because the national exam is really pretty rigid in how that works. So we're hoping to get approval from you guys, I think, tonight to utilize that space for, at least as a starting place, our AP Calculus students, the 3 of them, 2 of them which live in Jamaica, 1 lives in Newfane, but to be able to have them go there for a longer chunk of time than the 45 minutes during a Wednesday, when they're not having any other structured classes. And that way they could go there, they have to provide their own transportation and do that. In preparing for this proposal, one of the things that we did is I had a lengthy conversation with Bob, and he had his, well, first of all, the fire station there does not have a mechanical ventilation system. It's more like a residential setup. There's just a heater and there's a forced hot air system, but it's not, unless the heater's on, there's no other type of forced mechanical ventilation. So some of those standards that Bill was talking about earlier, in my mind, wouldn't necessarily apply because it's not that kind of a system. However, he also did have the forced hot air system thoroughly cleaned and filters replaced and inspected, and really kind of got that up to speed as best as he could, which, he admitted hadn't been done for a while, and was a good reminder for him to do it, but also because he wanted to be able to help out the community in this way. So That's another way that I'm hoping that we can get some kids some face-to-face time, particularly around the AP courses. And we'd start with calculus and see if our English and history classes could also do the same thing. But those have a few more kids in them. I think calculus is the smallest. So
yeah, just to follow up on what Bob's talking about, we would like permission from the board to do this pilot with these 3 students, AP, off-site at the Jamaica Community Room in the fire department. And it would be, dependent on the teacher saying yes, which they already have, and the kids saying yes, which we've checked in with them, but they didn't know if it was going to be a real possibility. Because we want to see if this is a possibility where we can work with our community partners in locations that are outside of our buildings for very particular reasons. The original example that we shared about the special education program is going to be completely outside. This is an AP course that is very particular to these 3 students. And so we're just looking for the board to give us this blessing on being able to do this as a pilot, because if it's successful, as Bob mentioned, there might be other opportunities with other courses in small groups that have a dedicated curriculum that need something different than what we're providing it right now. Did I kind of capture that, Bob?
absolutely. We are talking about for this group 1 day a week only. We're not doing this 5 days a week. It's just a 1 day a week opportunity, really to supplement the online time that the teacher has with the students. So, and I will add to this too that this is a first year calculus teacher, not a first year teacher, but a first year calculus teacher. And when you take on the AP curriculum, it's pretty intense. And she had to go through pretty rigorous training over the summer and is rolling out this curriculum. And so it's a challenge for her too to figure this all out. And so to have that face-to-face time with the kids is going to be really important for them to get the best out of it. And I will say, just a kind of total transparency, this teacher happens to be the daughter of Bob Somsky. So that's sort of where the communication started and how we kind of got the in. But he's open to doing some other stuff as well if this is successful.
Sounds great. So you just need a motion from us to allow you to move forward with the out of the box thinking at the Jamaica Fire Department.
That is correct.
Perfect. Keegan, you have your hand up.
I would love to make that motion, and I also have some follow-up commentary for Bob. I think it's fantastic that you're having the capacity to lean on the community, and that the community is rising to the occasion to support the learning of all of our kids. It's commendable, and I'm really excited that the AP Calculus is tough. So the fact that we're able to find a solution that's going to help support the teacher and what they're trying to do with the instruction of the children and what the learning environment can be, way to go. Excellent, excellent work. So on that note, I'd love to make your motion to allow 3 kids and their teacher to utilize a community meeting center to make some learning happen.
I'll second that.
Ken?
I was going to second it.
Lindsay beat you.
Sorry, Ken.
Okay, so it's moved and seconded to move forward with the Jamaica Fire Department plan for AP Calc as a pilot. Any discussion on that motion? Any further discussion?
I wonder if we could get the other communities to donate some of their space and precious time.
Well, I think this is the opening salvo. We wanted to make sure you are all comfortable. We wanted to make sure that the teacher was comfortable, the kids were comfortable, but this is definitely not the end. This is just the beginning.
I can vouch that we did work out the details to ensure that these kids would be safe. That was one of the criteria with the fire department, that their well-being over ours came first. So we did work out the details. It is safe for these kids. So
Sounds like you're a member, Dana. Thank you.
I'm an assistant chief, so with that department, I work under Bob. So
excellent. I will say that we did reach out to some other community spaces, and it's tough. I mean, as you know, a lot of places aren't open to the public, and so trying to find a facility that would open in this manner is we're lucky to have Jamaica willing to do that, and maybe there'll be others that follow. But right now, we've tried some others, and the answer has been no at this point.
Well, great thinking, you know, any space we can utilize to help. I'm sure that, you know, I'm sure this will be appreciated by the 3 AP Calc students and the teacher. So I don't see any more discussion on that. So all in favor, if you put your thumbs up, we can count you. All right, I got Howie, I got Keegan, I got Emily, I got Trish.
Leanne, can you give us a verbal?
Not
And
well,
Mike?
but maybe. Okay.
Oh, Mike, I see yours there. Dana, I see yours there. Leanne, I got your thumbs up. We just need Howie now.
Howie gave the physical
Oh yeah,
thumb.
right. And Ken's got his thumb up. All right, it's unanimous. Motion passes. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Bill, excuse me, it's to your report.
So a lot of my work went into the HVAC stuff because Chris was out on a wonderful excitement of having new fatherhood. Just so you all know, Chris had Chris's wife had their second child, little Ryan. Ryan is, he'll be 4 weeks tomorrow. And so Chris is not sleeping, but he is busy as ever. But just some updates in general for the WCSU. And I might ask Emily to talk a little bit about the legislature, but there is a new law and the federal law update of Title IX. The policy committee has worked very diligently to review that. Thank you very much, policy committee. All of the principals and myself are going through training all day long, Zoom, on October 2nd for that new law. It is very extensive. It is very detailed, and it is very legalistic. So we're going to have to really get deep and be on top of our game. We're very fortunate that our trainers are the law firm that we work with. So we're very fortunate to have that level of training. On Wednesday, all of the principals and myself and Mr. Medina and our COVID coordinator and nurses will be going through a tabletop scenario of what happens when a COVID case comes into the school. And what does that look like? What does contact tracing look like? What does our communications look like? What do letters to families look like? What can we say? What can't we say? What are the privacy concerns? How do we prepare for that? So we're looking forward to that on Wednesday. And then just to keep the board apprised, we are continuing to work with the Teachers Association on an MOU to try to solve the very challenging problem that was brought forth to this board about specialists and travel. So I will give a lot of kudos to Suzanne Paw, who has been helping us look at some different solutions for specialists, and for Scott Tabachnik, who has worked really hard as the point person for the administration. We don't have anything solved yet, but we keep narrowing down the options of trying to find something that's going to work that will make sense. So those are our major things we're working on. We are watching very much what's happening in the legislature. There are very specific things that if Joe will allow Emily to talk about, and she can or wants to, but the ADM is a big deal. As Lindsay asked an earlier question about students and being homeschooled, how's the ADM going to work? How's the tax commissioner's letter going to work? How are budgeting priorities and actions going to be working? Are we going to be doing 175 days or 170 days of student days? All of those issues, my understanding is they're either going to be decided or not decided this week. But we are very fortunate to have somebody who knows way more than I do about those things. So if Emily's excited to share, I would love to hear.
Joe?
Please. I think we're all excited to hear what you have to say.
Well, don't get too excited
The
because
inside scoop.
just because you shouldn't be too excited, because what Bill said is absolutely true. These things are going to be decided this week. So that, you know, what the important thing to remember is that we haven't made these decisions yet. I do it where a lot of things are getting folded into the budget. We have not passed a budget yet. And many of the things that Bill was talking about are being supported through the budget. I really don't have an awful lot more to share because, you know, we haven't made the decisions yet behind many of those things, but I think they'll be coming this week. We do plan, our goal has been all along to adjourn this week by Friday, and we are sticking to that goal, but it is a goal. So I don't want to make any promises, but I think it will be very helpful for all of our school districts and administrators and parents to if we can stick to that schedule because of all the reasons that Bill just said. We need to make sure that we're sending a very clear message, very late, clear message to school districts that we're here trying to support public education as best we can. Still looking to the federal government, whatever dollars we can get from them. We haven't received, as you'd all know, there hasn't been a new stimulus package passed yet. And if, you know, we're still looking at those dollars that we had left over. I think we had something like 100 million left over that still need to be spent by the end of the year. Can we apply any of those to school districts? Some of this work around ventilation and all that sort of thing are distinct possibilities of getting some funds into our school districts for things like that. But again, they're really restricted dollars. So we can't use them to pay down any loss of revenue or anything like that. So we have to be very careful about how those funds are applied. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has if I have answers for them. But there's an awful lot in flux this week.
Thanks, Emily. Anybody want to put her on the spot? No?
Yeah, are we going to make teachers essential workers?
Teachers, I don't think are on the list of essential workers yet, although, gosh, they are essential workers. We all know that. But there's been a lot of discussion around who are essential workers. And I think the most recent additions that are being included are folks who work in grocery stores and things like that. This is an ongoing challenge. Everybody's an essential worker if they're working right now, right? So how many dollars do we have?
There you go. Thanks, Emily.
But I will, can I just say two more things? One is that, Dana, thank you, because, you know, we're here to champion our staff, and I'm here to tell you that our legislature does truly and deeply appreciate the incredible work being done by our faculty and staff and administrators in our school districts around the state. It has been amazingly successful across Vermont right now. We have these pockets that we knew were going to pop up, and they are, and they're being, you know, carefully monitored and carefully controlled as best they can, so that we can continue to try to, you know, provide the education that our kids need in person as soon as we can get them safely educated in person. And every single thing we do to support our public schools and the folks who work there and the parents who send their children there and the children who go there it's a critical thing for us to stay focused on. And we know our kids work best when they learn best when they're right in front of staff. So we're going to keep doing that. And the last thing I want to say is support for childcare. You know, that is really a priority for us, making sure that folks who, teachers whose kids can't be in school need childcare. Everybody needs childcare, and we need to make sure that we're supporting folks who are out there working and need a place to leave their children. And that's been a real challenge across the state. And again, I think we're doing some really good work there, and I just applaud the efforts that are put in across the state, and even down to just people wearing masks. It matters that we're wearing masks. It really does. So stay safe, everyone. We can get over this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Okay. Well, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Emily. Moving right along, the Communications Subcommittee. I heard some discussion. You guys had a Zoom meeting.
We did indeed have a quick one for sure. We were operating under the 40-minute ideals, or the
Window.
maintenance of the website window. And
Nobody has a professional Zoom account.
we do this afternoon, so thank you very much, technology department. But yes, at the time, we were operating under a 40-minute plan, and I must apologize. My whole system just crashed, and my tab that I had pulled up disappeared for just a short minute. But I can share with you what we've been discussing. We came together and we reviewed our SWOT analysis. We came up with a few action steps that we can take related to what's going to help move us forward as far as promoting our communication, getting the messaging out to our community members, and the general ways of communicating. I just need 1 second to pull it up on my phone so that I can maintain my connections. Hold on 1 second. Among the things that we were working on trying to create was a list of community benchmark locations where we could have different hubs within our different communities where we could share our updates that we had. So we started creating that platform. We also, following the direction of Bill, we created some draft language around what a position could look like for a person to maintain and update those communications to the different website and platform pieces. I'm still waiting for my connectivity to get going, but my other team members on the communication squad are also here. Dana had some great ideas that he had been bouncing around with the folks he works with over at Grace Cottage, and Lindsay had some ideas as well, and Howie, of course, too. While I'm pulling up that agenda meeting list that we had, would my other teammates care to share some feedback too?
I'll go ahead. One of the ideas that we come up with was possibly utilizing BCTV to create a show explaining our budget process. We would have to have some form of MC, and then, being one of us who is not camera shy, get up and organize it and have various aspects, the financial officer explain out the budget process, the tax rates, Lori's job part, and, try to explain out why we come to our budget, kind of an explanation, and kind of present it out on BCTV if we still have that access to that when this cable stuff gets done. But what we're hoping is that we hit more of a target audience, more of those people that Ken talks about that might not have kids. We might be able to bring some transparency and bring it through television, and utilize that. Everybody in town seems to watch BCTV to see the select board meetings and our meetings 2 weeks. Maybe we can utilize that to explain our budget and our long-term plans or our short-term plans.
Thanks, Dana. My
You're welcome.
My document loaded. So other items that we discussed were the proposal document around drafting a position statement that would fulfill the needs of giving someone the responsibility and, by extension, the accountability to make sure that our data is maintained and updated. We also worked on developing a list of public access points where board updates could be shared beyond just our website while we're waiting to decide what that's going to look like to be a well-maintained piece. Dana mentioned his recordings, which was great. We also were looking at the creation of, looking at a newsletter looking at the work that has been done so far from the options phase right down to where we're headed with what we're looking at going forward based on the engineering reports and so forth. The providing a plan for what the fall could look like. We were thinking about both a digital slideshow or a PDF version around what a budgetary plan can be. And having it considered like both through the lens of the 3 elementary schools and the 1 middle and high school, to kind of understand where those pieces kind of came from. Education finance is a tricky nugget to unpack for sure. And then the last piece that we talked about was discussing the coordination with school-specific Facebook pages, along with the websites for each school as being other locations where we could share and use that as like a leveraging point to discuss and make known all of the progress that the schools and the school board has made. Piece of cake.
Okay, so is there actually a proposal?
For the position, yes, we drafted it and shared it with Bill, and I believe it was part of the board pieces. We were like the position proposal is what you're referring to, right, Joe?
Well, that's the piece that has a possible action. You know, I don't have it in front of me. It was like, is it a board member with an additional stipend who's going to shepherd this, or are we hiring from outside somewhere? And is there a term on this position? It was like $1,200. So is that, how much time is that buying us? And then all of those different ideas that you had discussed with video and, you know, somebody's gonna have to write those presentations and make those presentations and maintain websites and Facebook pages and all of that. How long will someone do that for $1,200?
Well, we were thinking that the position was designed for someone to maintain the website updates, and we were looking at that being $100 per month times 12 months. So that's your $1,200. And there are there are many folks that have reached out saying that they would happily volunteer their time. However, there was some discussion among the communications team that volunteers are loved and appreciated, but they're not always able to be held accountable for those times and those expectations. So we believed that by attaching some funds to it, for $100, we could ask someone to spend an hour or so a month helping us to maintain those platforms. The drafting of the language and the creation of the presentations, obviously those we would want to have more control over. So as a committee, as a board, we could work together as a team and develop those items and then share them with our, what I think we called it a liaison position. And we can have that person through their funding, share out what we create.
Gotcha.
That's the hope. We're always open to suggestions, though.
Ken has a question or comment.
Well, I think it would be more than an hour's worth of work a month. And because it's not just updating the website, it would probably also be going to the meetings and but I'd like to make a motion to give the communications committee the funds that they're asking for, which is $1,200, I believe, to get somebody to maintain the.
Ken froze.
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to appropriate the $1,200 to the communications committee to move forward with the liaison position. Any questions, discussion on that? don't see any. Mike's already got his thumb up. All right, so all in favor, please put your thumbs up. Dana, I apologize. I didn't see it if you did it. Got it. Thank you. All right, that's everybody. Oh, you're weird. All right, motion passes. Go forth and spend money.
Thanks.
Communicate. All right. Next up is policy. Apparently there are 2 policies that we need to talk about tonight. Ken, would you please?
No, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's, you know, you stop in chair for a while, you forget who's in charge. Sorry, Mike.
No worries.
Please.
No worries. Yeah, so policy, the administration had asked us to review 2 policies. First one being A25, which is delegation of authority during state of emergency due to COVID-19 pandemic. And the second policy is C12 on sexual harassment. The board has met. The C12 is a required policy. We couldn't change it if we wanted to. But regardless, we are recommending to the full board that we adopt both those policies as requested by the administration. And the administration had also asked us to go back and start looking at policies that might need to be reviewed due to the amount of time since they've been updated. There was a little bit of confusion because some of the policies on the list we got seem to have existed since before we were a board. So we're wondering if we got the wrong list. Maybe we got the SU version. But regardless, I'm sure that's quite an easy fix, and that, you know, we'll go through and start, you know, looking at the policies that might need to be reviewed.
Great, thank you. So tonight you're recommending that we adopt both the instructional disposition policy as well as C12 and C12B. C12 is
The delegation of authority. Huh?
I'm sorry?
They're going to warn them.
Warn,
Yes.
yeah, warn them.
Yeah. Right.
I misspoke. I apologize.
Yeah, so we're gonna, I guess, warn a vote for the next meeting for the A25, the delegation of authority, and C12, sexual harassment.
A25, thank you. So we just need that motion, right?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to warn policies A25 and C12. Any further discussion on that? I'm seeing thumbs ups already. All right, all in favor of warning those, please indicate with a thumbs up. All right, we got y'all. Thank you very much. The motion passes. Those will be, those could possibly be adopted at our October 19th meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's everything on the agenda. If there was anything else, any other business, now would be the time. I'll remind you of our next meeting, October 19th, and then there's a special meeting on the 26th of October to warn an amendment to the Articles of Agreement. I see a hand up. Yes, sir, Mr. Runge, is it?
Yes, hi. This is the first time I've been on one of these calls, so I'm a little nervous. Please forgive me. I'm calling because, well, I'm on the Zoom call after having kind of a very lengthy conversation with a woman from the Essex School District. This woman, Erin McGuire, who I guess is doing this diversity, inclusion, and equity stuff at her school, and basically, you know, spent a long time on the phone with her as she was defending, you know, basically teaching critical race theory to the students in the schools, which I don't know if you've been paying attention. Trump has just come out with an executive order and banned from all federal agencies. She tried to sort of disguise it by calling it anti-racism, but it's critical race theory. And it really just concerns me that this sort of, Marxist ideology is spreading like wildfire around the schools here. I just want to make sure, like when I was in high school, I had left-wing teachers who tried to inject their politics into schools, but it just seems like it's being institutionalized as like part of the curriculum. And is that going on like at Leland and Gray? I mean, are they being forced to learn this sort of ideology that is sort of basically Marxism conflict theory, but instead of economic classes replaced with racial groups? Is that being taught at the school at Leland and Gray?
I will just say that Leland and Gray follows the educational quality standards that is set by the state of Vermont. I don't believe there's any course that matches the description that you are.
So there's no critical race theory being. I mean, I know, for example, that if you go on the Leland and Gray website, the English class, for example, promotes social justice, which is a far left ideology. And my English teacher in high school too tried to push her politics on the class, but I mean, it wasn't like a part of the curriculum. So I just want to know, is there any kind of curriculum at Leland and Gray or any of the school districts in this school board that are teaching anything based on critical race theory or intersectionality or anything really that comes from Marxism or postmodernism, basically?
As the superintendent, I am unaware of anything that meets the description you are providing.
So there's no critical race theory being taught or promoted at the school?
As far as I know,
okay,
no course that matches that description.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for that clarification, Bill. Lindsay, you have your hand up.
I'm just wondering if it would ease Mr. Runge's mind a bit if Bob had anything to add to that, being more directly connected to what's happening inside the school. If you have anything to add or whatever to that.
Joe?
Hi, Bongo
Go ahead, please.
So I would say that Leland and Gray is, as Mr. Anton said, has a curriculum which is tied to the standards of each of our content areas. I would say that we are an institution that reflects the values of the community in a variety of ways, including the breadth of ideas that are in our community, and that our staff does their best to ensure that students are exposed to all sorts of different types of materials. I don't know if that helps or not, but that's would be my 2 cents on that.
Thanks, Bob. You muted yourself again there. Okay. So we just need one more motion, I guess, unless there's further discussion there.
I move to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn. Oh, I second that motion, Ken.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Or just leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all very much.
I wouldn't leave to do that to you, Joe. Just leave.
Yeah. We adjourned by everybody click leave.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'll see you all soon and stay safe.
You too. Take care, everybody.
Yep.